But humanity, even in defeat, wasn't fully quelled. It made a strategic retreat to the star system within the greater Tiger constellation, positioned near the galaxy's edge. With a final act of defiance, they scorched the planets they once occupied, turning them into slag. Its message was clear. If humanity couldn't have these worlds, neither could the Forerunners. This very system would later serve as a fail-safe location for Installation 07. If the installations ever risked enemy capture, it was programmed to hurl itself into one of the system's planets, ensuring its destruction and keeping its secrets from enemy hands. Though there was still burning question with galactic implications that was burning in the minds of the Forerunner leadership. Concerning the retreat of the Flood at the war's end, did it mean that humanity found the elusive cure to the parasite's devastating infection? Such a significant breakthrough would justify humanity's continued existence in the galaxy. Even though other species had been made extinct for lesser transgressions against the Forerunner Dominion, the Librarian, despite her doubts of the existence of such a cure, made an impassioned plea to the Ecumene Council that humanity must be preserved. If a cure truly existed, only by safeguarding humanity could the Forerunners ever hope to uncover this. The Council was cautious yet hopeful and yielded to the Librarian's request, but with certain conditions. Instead of letting humans live organically, they subjugated countless individuals on Cherim HaKor to the harrowing process of mind extraction through the Composers. These digitized minds were subjected to eons of questioning, torture outside of time, and a relentless search for answers about the alleged cure. Beyond this, the Librarian had her own plans, and she embedded echoes of these memories into the very DNA of future human generations. These dormant memories would awaken when the right conditions presented themselves in the epochs to come. But the Lifeworkers and the Librarian harbored profound skepticism. Their analyses and predictions showed that, unimpeded, the Flood should have easily conquered the entire galaxy within a few hundred years, far quicker than any cure could have been designed. Many suspecting the most chilling proposition that there was no cure, no great breakthrough by humanity, but that the Flood wanted the Forerunner leadership to think there was a cure just so that it would protect humanity, ensuring that humans would not go extinct, while also diverting Forerunner energies into a futile search. A revelation that would be just as confusing for humans as it was for the Forerunners. Why did this evil, monstrous entity seek to protect them, if all it ever did was devour and assimilate every human it came into contact with? Meanwhile, their traitorous worm allies were receiving their punishment. The Sanshayum's homeworld, Gendercom, became a quarantine zone watched over by the imposing presence of the Forerunner Fortress-class vessel, the Deep Reverence. The entire system was encapsulated by a formidable quarantine shield, isolating it from external interference. This protective barrier, however, didn't deter the Librarian from seeking access in her quest to index all sentient beings. The Sanshayum, perhaps driven by memories of the past betrayals, they believed they faced another threat and in a desperate bid for survival, rallied against this Forerunner emissary. This act of defiance wasn't overlooked, and Master Builder Faber, with ambitions of his own and perhaps to assert dominance, seized this tumultuous moment to field test the capabilities of the Halo superweapon, selecting Gendercom as ground zero. The aftermath was catastrophic. Halo's devastating firepower unleashed upon the world erased vast swaths of Sanshayum's populace in its wake. The civilization teetered on the brink of annihilation, reduced to mere remnants. Though this act of genocide would facilitate Faber's fall from grace, stripped of his power and authority, he faced judgment for his betrayal of the Mantle's principles, standing trial for his high treason against the very fabric of Forerunner ideals. And though this trick by the Flood and the lobbying of the Librarian did help to prevent the extinction of humans, their vast interstellar star system was virtually erased, with all evidence of high-tech humanity being obliterated, and all surviving humans being subjected to biological de-evolution. The experience was traumatic. Humans were consciously forced through a rapid regression of their evolutionary trajectory, morphing back into primordial forms and losing their higher cognitive abilities. The last vestiges of humankind were then banished to Earth. While most of the Forerunners held disdain for the species, viewing them as a perennial threat, the Librarian saw potential. As the guardian angel of humanity, she ensured their survival and oversaw their progress. Remarkably, in just a millennium, under the Librarian's guiding influence, humanity began to rediscover its lost identity. New forms emerged and interbreeded with each other, distorting the natural course of evolution and creating an enigmatic fossil record. Species like the Hamanush, Katamanush, Baashmanush, Chamanush, Florian, Neanderthal, and more all became a part of what would become a new humanity. though humanity's defiance and subsequent downfall bore severe repercussions for the galaxy. As a final act of resistance, or perhaps vengeance, humans had purged all records and evidence related to the Flood, including any effective tactics or scientific breakthroughs. Pornstellar makes Eternal Lasting muse that this last act may have been intended to leave the Foreigners vulnerable to the Flood's return. The schisms between the various Forerunner factions grew deeper, driven by different interpretations of how to uphold the mantle. And as the specter of the Flood haunted their every decision, the Builder Caste, under Faber's guidance, championed the construction of the Halo Array. These installations would become galaxy-wide weapons of mass destruction, capable of obliterating all sentient life to starve the Flood of its biomass. The Didact, on the other hand, presented a vision of shield worlds. These bastions in space would not only serve on defense, but would act as their own arcs to preserve life. The philosophical gulf between these two visions of the future seemed insurmountable, with the Halo Array being the ultimate last resort, and the shield worlds representing a more hopeful strategy of defense and preservation. The Ecumene Council, weighing the dire circumstances, would decide with the Builder's solution. This snub to the Didact and his plan signified a shift in the political balance of the Forerunner Empire, strengthening the Builders and relegating the Warrior Servants to a less influential position. And amid this political turbulence, the Librarian and her alliance with her husband, the Didact, was under strain as she grappled with the moral implications of using the Halo Array. Recognizing the potential necessity of the Halos, while also vehemently opposing their indiscriminate use, she championed the conservation measure. Through the sheer force of her will and by leveraging her status, she secured herself and her Lifeworkers' role in preserving the myriad of life in the galaxy. The installations of the Halo Arrays and the gargantuan arcs were transformed into biological refuges, ensuring that life could be reseeded after a potential Halo activation. With this final design preserving life like the shield worlds would have done, but still with the destructive offensive capability, turning the very weapons themselves into their own form of arc.